Unless you've been living under a rock for the last couple weeks, you probably already know that DaVinci Resolve 20 beta is out and that it comes with a whole bunch of really cool AI-powered tools, including one that claims to be able to mix and master your audio for you. I have some thoughts. Hey, I'm Jay. I'm a mixing and mastering engineer, at least for now, and here on this channel, I teach the audio side of DaVinci Resolve. This week, we are talking about the brand new audio assistant in DaVinci Resolve 20, which claims, like I said before, to be able to completely mix and master your audio for you. Now, this isn't a tutorial per se. I am going to show you how to use Audio Assistant, but we're going to kind of go on this journey together because I have purposefully stayed away from this because I wanted to test it out with you coming along for the ride so I can share my thoughts about it and just see how it works. What I've done is created two separate projects in DaVinci Resolve. They are two different formats of video, and I figure if Audio Assistant can perform well with both of them, then it should be able to handle whatever project I throw at it in the future. The first project we're going to look at is something that I edit a lot, which is podcasts. This is a 3-hour and 15-minute long podcast that was recorded with Riverside. And Riverside is my partner on today's video. I've been using them for years to conduct interviews, do video calls. I've done a little bit of live streaming with them, and I record all of my podcast episodes with them. This particular podcast has 4 dialogue tracks, 4 speakers. It's got a little bit of music, some sound effects, and some room tone, which is typical for one of my podcast episodes. The really cool thing about this podcast episode is all of this audio, with the exception of the room tone, was recorded locally on each participant's machine and then uploaded to the cloud. So all I had to do was download it. It was automatically synced up. All I had to do was throw it into DaVinci Resolve and it was ready for editing. It's one of the big reasons why I absolutely love Riverside. The problem with this audio is even though Riverside makes it super easy to record and upload and edit, it is still subject to everybody's personal recording settings and behavior while recording. So there's a lot of moving around and bumping things. My own audio, I completely screwed up the settings on my audio interface and there's some clipping going on. So there's just a lot of stuff. So this is going to be a really good test for the Audio Assistant to see if it does anything about all of that extra stuff, the clipping, the noise, the bumping, the clicks and the pops and whatever else it finds. Riverside can actually take care of this too, by the way. They have a whole bunch of really, really awesome editing tools, including stuff that will remove silence, remove filler words, enhance your audio, and they've even got a shorts creator so you can create short clips for social media. It's really, really awesome. Now, I have set up this project the same way that I would set up any project. I'm in the Fairlight page right now, but I've set this up where I've organized and color-coded my tracks. I have labeled all my tracks what they are. So we got Dialogue Dan, Dialogue Jay, Dialogue Tez, Dialogue Isaac, and music, sound effects, and sound effects room tone. I've also gone into my index and set the category for each one of my tracks. I don't know if you knew you could do this, but you can. You can categorize all of your tracks. So you can see Dialogue Dan is in the dialogue category, Dialogue J, dialogue category. I've categorized all of this. I don't know if this is going to help the Audio Assistant at all. I don't know if it's even going to pay attention to the categories that I've set or if it's going to try and assign its own categories. I have no idea what it's going to do, but I do this anyway just so I don't get lost and it makes it easier to organize larger projects. So we're all ready to run Audio Assistant. What we're going to do is come up to Timeline, come down to AI Tools, and click Audio Assistant. From there, all we have to do is choose our delivery standard, which is basically what platform are you going to be delivering this to when you're done. If you hit the drop-down box, it's a whole bunch of them. It's all the same options that you get when you normalize your audio during a regular edit. So you got YouTube, Netflix, Disney 2.0, you've got your ITURBS settings and all of that stuff. I'm going to choose YouTube for 2 reasons. One, if I was going to publish a video version of this podcast, it would be going to YouTube, and Spotify has the same loudness standards as YouTube. So YouTube's a pretty safe bet for content creators. I'm going to go ahead and click Auto Mix, and it's going to show you everything that it's going to do. Audio classification, dialogue mix, music mix, sound effects and ambience mix, final mastering. Now, this is a 3 hour and 15-minute long podcast. I don't expect this to be a quick process, although you can see audio classification is already done. Dialogue mix is, well, it's analyzing the dialogue right now. I don't expect this is going to be a very quick process, so let's just jump ahead to the future, shall we? Okay, I said this is probably going to take a while, and I was right. It took about an hour and a half for Audio Assistant to do the mixing and the mastering on this timeline. Now, an hour and a half for mixing and mastering on a 3 hour and 15-minute long podcast is actually not bad at all. It probably got it done faster than I would have. And if you take that into account, along with the fact that I was able to do other things and be productive while this was running, and you take into account the fact that thanks to Riverside, I didn't have to wait for all of the other people talking on this podcast to record themselves separately and try and figure out a way to send me a 3 hour and 15-minute long video clip, I would say that it was 100% worth it. That is, of course, assuming that we actually got a good result. So let's dive in to DaVinci Resolve here and take a look at what Audio Assistant did. First thing that I found very interesting was it actually recolor coded all of my tracks. It didn't like the color code that I gave it. So now, instead of my dialogue tracks being yellow, they're blue, and the others have changed. So the only thing that's the same is my sound effects are still purple. And then if we expand our mixer, we can see some of the other stuff we've done. On all 4 of my dialogue tracks, you can see we've got voice isolation, dialogue leveler, de-esser, and compression, and we've got a high pass filter. Now, this is cool that all of my dialogue tracks have this on it. The only thing that concerns me is it looks like all my compressor settings are the same across all 4 dialogue tracks. It looks like the EQ is exactly the same across all 4 dialogue tracks. So the Audio Assistant seems to be reading a track as dialogue and then applying the same thing to all of them. If we move on to the music track, we've got a couple things going on. We've got a ducker, which is kind of nice. And we've also got, you see this green handle on the mixer. You can also see the green level meter right here, not the level meter, but the level indicator. This green means that automation was actually applied to the track. Now, it doesn't look like any automation was actually done, probably because there's very little music, but the track was definitely adjusted. My sound effects track got a ducker and a multi-band compressor, and levels were adjusted. My ambience track, we had the volume brought down, but otherwise nothing was done. And then on the main bus, we have some very basic mastering going on, multi-band compressor and limiter. And I actually just want to double check some of these settings here and see if everything is the same. Let's see, we've got a high pass filter, 24 dB cut. We've got that frequency at 77, which is actually lower than I would probably put it, but that's okay. So we got 77 there, 24 dB, 77 there. Yeah, all 4 of these are exactly the same. And if I was a betting man, I'd say compressor's probably about the same. We've got a threshold of minus 18.8, a ratio of 2.6 to 1, 4.7 attack, 154 hold, 257 release, minus 18.8, 2.6 to 1, 4.7, 154, 257. No expander, no limiter, no makeup gain. So it does seem that other than the levels themselves, all of the stuff that was applied to these tracks is very cookie cutter, very, oh, this is a dialogue track, you're going to get these effects with these settings. Even if we open up the de-esser, we don't even get the whole de-esser plugin. We're just getting an amount knob. So we can adjust the amount of the de-esser, but we can't actually adjust the frequency of the de-esser or anything like that. All we're getting is an amount knob, and the amount is the same. It's all 38 across the board. But we won't know anything for sure until we actually give this a listen and see if it sounds good. I'm interested to see if voice isolation and dialogue leveler kind of took care of some of the moving around and the background noise and all of that stuff. So let's go ahead and give this a listen, see if it's actually mixed well.
Fuck.
All right. Let's see if I can remember how to navigate.
Tez, this is old music. This isn't new music. This is
I'm on my laptop, so I don't have our normal stuff. So we're back to the stock Riverside.
Well, give me an intro song, man. I need something to just get in the way here, you know.
Just okay. Wait, hold on. I got to do my patented.
Oh yeah.
Don't forget.
Yeah.
When we're done with the recording, stay on the call until that little purple bubble in the top of your screen says you're done uploading.
Cool.
All right, here we go. Here's some music.
Okay. Wait. Jay.
Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha.
I don't have the music.
We had some technical difficulties there. Headphone mishap. It was weird, but this actually sounds like a decent mix. The room tone isn't too loud, which is nice. Sometimes you get this issue where room tone is actually read as music and then the volume gets pumped up, and that's not happening here, which is good. And I think that's because I was able to classify it as ambience. And speaking of these categories, these classifications here, and whether or not they actually affected what happened in the audio assistant, I'm going to go ahead and say yes, because that whole first step when you first initialize audio assistant, where it's categorizing your audio, that was done instantly, which means it actually does read the categories that I assign. So that's a little tip. If you're going to use audio assistant for your own mixing, then go ahead and categorize all of your audio tracks before you do that, because that'll, one, speed up the process, and two, kind of ensure that audio assistant reads everything correctly, treats it appropriately, and you get the right levels. All right, let's head back to the edit page, and we're going to go into our next project. And if you've been watching my tutorials recently, you probably recognize this as the fake movie trailer that I have been using as kind of an example project for all of my tutorials here on this channel. Again, I have all of my audio set up. I haven't done any color coding though, and I've got all of my tracks labeled. And if we head into the Fairlight page, you can see that in the index I have all of my tracks categorized. And let's go ahead and head up to timeline, go to AI tools, audio assistant, delivery standard YouTube, and auto mix. And this one is going to go much faster because it's only a 1 minute long project, but it has more varied tracks here and kind of a more professional workflow, I guess. All right, so again, we have the same color coding as before. We've got dialogue as blue, we've got music as orange, sound effects purple, and ambience as tan. Again, automation is automatically turned on for music. Let's go ahead and see if they did. They did do some stuff for fader levels. They did some ducking. If we come into our mixer, we've got the same thing. We've got that low cut, high pass filter, whatever you want to call it, 24 dB, frequency of 77 hertz. So same cookie cutter settings. We've got our de-esser, voice isolation, dialogue leveler, ducker on the music, ducker on the sound effects. All three of my ambience tracks are at the same level. Both of my sound effects tracks are at the same level. And we've got the same multiband compressor and limiter on our master bus. So let's head back to the edit page so we can watch this and listen to the mix and see if it sounds any good.
Once upon a time, the world fell apart. Nobody really knows how it happened or how to fix it. There's only one rule. Beware the Nightmare Queen.
Okay, so that wasn't too bad. That was actually a fairly decent mix. There are still a couple things that concern me. The fact that all of the settings are cookie cutter. If you have a dialogue track, it's always going to be at 0 dB. It's always going to have that same low cut filter. It's always going to have that de-esser and the dialogue. Everything is always going to be the same. You also don't get any kind of full control over that de-esser plugin. You just get an amount knob, which I'm not too happy about. Sound effects tracks are all the same level. Everything is very, very boilerplate and cookie cutter. So basically what Audio Assistant is doing, it's not actually mixing and mastering for you. What it's doing is giving you a recommended starting point so you can go in and tweak everything from there. And there is a good amount that I would tweak in this mix. Like I would make some of those Foley clips, some of those ambient clips a little bit louder so you can actually hear them. So I can make the soundstage a little bit more full. I would actually go in and do some more EQ, maybe tweak the compression a little bit. It's got a good, starting settings, and hopefully all I have to do is adjust the threshold a little bit. Also, I'm not exactly sure, if we head over into Fairlight page, I'm not sure what the point is of having the ducker and automation on the music track. That seems a little overkill to me. I think you should choose one or the other. Personally, I would go for automation. You get more control over it, but to each his own. Multi-band compressor, which is something we didn't dive into before. If we click on that, again, threshold and amount. That's all we get. We don't actually get that multi-band compressor. So no, Audio Assistant is not going to take me out of a job. It does not take away the need for audio editing or audio mixing. Yes, it will bring you to a decent starting point based on what I think are best practices, but you're still going to go in there. You're going to need to go in there and tweak the EQ and the compressor, maybe play around with the amount for the de-esser or the multi-band EQ or even the limiter. What I hope to see from this as more updates come out is maybe some more precise adjustments. Maybe when it reads that dialogue, maybe it's not just reading it as dialogue and applying these basic settings, but maybe giving you a suggested EQ curve or suggested compressor settings for that specific piece of dialogue. The other cool thing about Audio Assistant is, unlike some of the other AI-powered plugins out there that claim to automatically mix your dialogue and make it sound good, this gives you more flexibility. You can see what it's doing. You can see that it turned on the compressor and gave you some starting settings. You can see that it added a low cut filter on the EQ, and it gives you the flexibility to tweak it from there. I would like a little bit more flexibility. I'd like to actually see the full de-esser plugin or multi-band EQ or limiter when it's applied there. I'd like to have full control over all of the settings instead of just a threshold and amount, or only amount in some cases. But, you know, I can live with this. I do think Audio Assistant can be a really big time saver, especially with those initial levels that you get. That's actually a huge deal. And putting dialogue leveler and voice isolation on for the dialogue clips and setting that up, that's a huge time saver. That's an hour and a half for that big project where I could be doing something else, being productive somewhere else. And when you combine that with all of the ways that Riverside makes it super easy to collaborate remotely, you potentially could save yourself hours. Riverside will be linked below, by the way, if you want to check them out. And if you use the coupon code JLippman at checkout, you'll actually get 15% off of a paid subscription. So Audio Assistant, really awesome new feature in DaVinci Resolve 20. You know what else is a really cool feature in DaVinci Resolve 20? This Fairlight EQ right here is now a drag and drop plugin. You don't have to just use it down here on the mixer. You can put it up here with all of your other effects.